there tends to be this thing like you must draft these guys. These guys are soaring. These guys are wild ranking shifts and all these narratives about players exceeding expectations. And it's true. Players can surprise you. But there are some core stable dudes who are falling down the rankings a little bit, who've been forgotten, some players that need our attention. There are some flying high above their station and we want to zoom in on. And if we have them, you might want to say you sell hype, but we want to break down some of the advantages that you can get to win your league. And there are some names that I think very tasty, including one right now who reigns supreme, a new number one, let's say, in NBA fantasy over the last 2 weeks. Who is it? It's a magical choice. Look, this is from Hashtag Basketball. It is the last 2 weeks of rankings. Now, this is based off the Fantrax positions. Now, positionality can change based on where you are. Now, this can shift rankings occasionally as well. And don't sleep on that. People's rankings, look, up the top right here, I'll go from Yahoo right away, and you can see maybe a couple of names jut around underneath. ESPN, the rankings can shift and load a couple of bit based on the positionality. And Fantrax, you can see the positionality changes around as well. Big notes here, point guard and Fantrax, and shooting guard for the number one player, Luca Magic. Luca has been the number one player in fantasy in the last 2 weeks. Now, there's a bit of a caveat to that. The sample size for Luca is just down, just slightly, on guys like Jokic, playing 7 games compared to Luca's 5. Now, Luca is also doing that, an incredible clip for him. In fact, Luca's free throw percentage this year, something that's been a bit of a neg in his game for a while, and his field goal percentage have really steadied. He's near 500 from the floor. He is plus 868 the last 2 weeks, but also on 10.6 attempts a game. Now, that is game-changing. Now, the turnovers, if you shake down by this one, you will absolutely notice something that sticks out like a sore thumb. Just behind Cade, who has also been incredible, the 7th ranked player in the last 2 weeks. So this is the last 14 days. Because remember, there were times that Cade was away and he's come back on this goodbye, Dennis Jenkins. You could just see it, Dennis, just pushing you to the side. This is what we're talking about. These are the rankings that we are looking at from the last couple of weeks. Let's not worry about too much about those rankings. But again, when you run things like this, we want to have a look over the rest of the regular season. So here at the regular season, when we have a look, we've got guys like Jokic and Wemby and Shea. And Luka sits number 4 on the year. Tyrese Maxey has a huge season. But when we do this, we seem to zoom in on the last 14 days sometimes and just have a look at our recency bias. We have to examine our recency bias and see things like, is it Selhan Luka? No, because you took him with the first pick. He was your first. If you've got Luka, you were probably 4th in your draft. If you took him at 3, you might just be a Luka fan, and Shea probably fell to 4, and that's fine. Because look, there's Shea at 4. But look who's cooking. It's Tyrese Maxey. It is his world, and we're all living on it. We know Joker is good. Let's not even mess with that. But Tyrese Maxey is doing an incredible service here. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, the last 2 weeks, the free throw attempts have crept back up again, and he, again, has been absolutely phenomenal. He is at 34.8 points per game, with Anthony Edwards just behind him, a league leading in the last 2 weeks. This is like, I have openly said that I do not think that Anthony Edwards is a first-round player. I don't. But if I can put Anthony Edwards with someone else and get Shea back, yeah, I'll do it every single day of the week. And in this last 2-week stretch, in a 6-game sample size, Anthony Edwards, according to the hashtag basketball rankings, has been the 5th best player. That's massive. For all those people that gamble on him and take him at the end of a first round or in the second round. Look, I didn't see him slide outside the second round in one draft. You take him for this upside in the points. This 38.3 is huge. And the thing for him, he could be higher. You can see the ding there is his free throw percentage. Sub 800 on 8.8 attempts a game in the last 2 weeks. He is quite capable of being plus 820. He regularly hits that. The field goal percentage for him has been insane. And the 5 threes a game, the guy has been cooking. So for me, I feel it's an ideal opportunity time to sell high on Anthony Edwards into a more stable, solid first rounder. Now, I do not think you will get a Luca or a Shea back or a Jokic. But if you put him with someone really good that you could spare and guarantee one of those guys, yeah, I'm doing it. The big one for me here is this. It's Austin Reeves. And what I've always loved about Reeves, I drafted him in a lot of I'm heavily invested in my Austin this year, is that he gets that small forward eligibility in this lineup. He's a point guard, a shooting guard. He gets me that small forward. He is a triple threat across the board positionality-wise, and that's real good for us. These averages are insane. 600 from the field. And he had a bit of a stinker one game in this as well. 900 from the line. Insane. 28 points, 7 rebounds, 4.2 assists, and 3 turnovers. I can live with that for Reeves. The guy who's cooking, he had a 52-piece today. What a burger. That is the quarter pounder with extra quarter pounder inside of it for Jamal Murray. Love that from him. He has been on fire lately and been an absolutely rock-steady pick. And again, someone as well, I don't think we should necessarily sell high on, but if I could get someone like a Donovan Mitchell back, if I could get a Donovan Mitchell type, if I could pair him maybe with the Scotty Barnes, who's just beneath him, yeah, I'd be doing something like that. I'd be looking there. The guy who's really curious in this right here is Kevin Porter Jr. Now, he's only been back for 3 games. We know that Giannis went out. We've had that upset win over Detroit. KPJ right here coming back from injury and hitting 3.7 threes per game, 3.7 threes per game, in his last 3 games is interesting. He's not usually a volume en masse three-point shooter. He loves to score. He loves to get inside. And what he does is really well is he's getting to the line at those 3.7 times, but the threes are there. Like 3.7 is really nice, 23 points a game. You're not going to get rebounds, but you're getting decent assists, great steals numbers for the guy. So I absolutely think it's sell high on KPJ. Now, obviously, you're not going to get a first rounder back, but I also don't see him retaining first rounder. So if you can get a really decent, this was a guy who was on the junk heap on a lot of waiver wires after his injury, and he has come back with an absolute gusto and changing managers' fortunes. Right under that is Anthony Davis. Love to see him back in the first round and a steady, consistent presence in a Dallas team that is surging. So I absolutely think it is time that we just trust the Anthony Davis process. Now, put out some feelers to his managers, because people get a little bit iffy on him. If you're a manager of him and you can get back a really solid first round guy for him, you can absolutely do it. But again, of all of these players, there is only one center, power forward center in the top of the rankings. And that's an interesting point. There is only one power forward center player there's 2. There's one power forward center player in Anthony Davis and one pure center in Jokic. There's a lot of point guard action around the top of this one. And we talked about the point guard shortage. D-Mac and I were on it all preseason. There was like a point guard shortage up the top, and then it drops down because point guards can bring you elite statistics across the board. They can bring you, obviously, the assists. But if you look at this, the rebounds, I mean, Luca, one of these guys who does 9.6 rebounds, you're not going to be getting them from the Shays. Tyrese Maxey is an average 4.8. But when you start getting them from the guys like Austin Reeves, who has that eligibility, 8.4 from Cade Cunningham, Scotty Barnes, in some leagues, point guard eligible. 11.7 rebounds up there from Anthony Davis is absolutely massive the last couple of weeks. With Steph Curry out injured as well, that's a bit of a shame there in Golden State. Skip over him and move to this one. And why I find this one interesting is we've got 2 guys in the next round. I'm just going to run through the second round of value guys real quickly. James Harden, tick. Donovan Mitchell, Jaylen Brown, Evan Mobley. Good to see him starting to find some form. The big neg on him this season is his free throw percentage. Absolutely in the trash. You can see it is dragging you down on 4 attempts a game. If he can get that in the 700s, we would be very, very happy indeed. After this one with Carl Bridges, an absolute resurgent year from him. Kawhi Leonard, Josh Hart playing out of his mind. A guy, mind you, who was on the waiver wire. I've got a show coming up on the Old Man Squad. You make sure you check that one out. I talk about Josh Hart and these like swings and arrows and narratives. He was dropped on waiver wires at the beginning of the season. And now, once again, doing the exact same Josh Hart things that he did. He fell in drafts during draft day. Many were like, can't do that again, can't repeat. Right now, he's repeating what he did last year. So it's sell high on Hart. Jalen Johnson, absolutely elite, spearheading Atlanta. Zach Edey, 7 games, absolutely huge. Field goal percentage through the roof. The free throws are there. You're not going to get threes from this bloke, but the double doubles every time he steps on the floor. The defense from this bloke in Memphis. He's probably the bright shining star for the Memphis Grizzlies right now. Karl Anthony Towns, there's the slip we spoke back into the second round for New York, but still second round of the season, and you're not going to complain about that. And Marvin Bagley getting 27 minutes a game right now on a depleted Washington team in those 2 minutes. Look, an outlier. We just rule a line under it and we move on. PJ Washington, though, rounding out that second round as the 24th best player, is someone who I'm very curious by because he's Mr. Average field goal percentage, average free throw percentage. But what we like from him is the threes. We love the points. We love the rebounds. And the 2 blocks from him is absolutely sexy. Thing to note in that second round, we start to get some of those more power forward and center type players. We got Zach Edey in there. We've got that Karl Anthony Towns type. We've got PJ Washington eligible in power forward and center in Dallas, even though they have a ton of centers, he still gets that eligibility there. We also get Evan Mobley in the mix. So we start to see a few more of the big men are really earning their weight in this one. The 2 guys I want to point out are James Harden at 13, which is at the turn, exactly where we expected him to be on the year. But Kawhi Leonard at 18, who's played 6 games and back-to-backs. He has looked incredible. And I'm going to say sell high on him. And I'd almost say sell high on James Harden because the Clippers stink. And them dropping Chris Paul, okay, look, that's a personal thing. I just think that's horrible. And apparently his leadership style conflicted with Ty Lue, and he was holding the team accountable, which they should be because they're grown-ups in a room and everyone should be accountable for leadership. And if people aren't acting a certain way and someone speaks up about that, I have no problem with it. I'm cool with that. Like, cool, Chris, like you've been here, you're a legend. Let's listen. Let's rally behind that. But seeing that as a divide in an organization or putting pressure or making people feel uncomfortable because they're not accountable, I'm just going to not much of a Clippers fan. And I'm not a fan of their season. And if it goes sideways real quickly, we can see Harden and Kawhi possibly down the road not playing that much. And Kawhi playing back-to-backs right now was amazing. But how long is it before these guys just tank their season? And I don't know if they can tank their season because OKC have their pick. And it's wild to think that OKC could walk away with the top 5 pick in a stacked draft just because the Clippers are old and suck. So I'm not sure, but my eyes are definitely on that. And they're performing in that second round level. And I'm always a bit nervy about Kawhi. I love Kawhi. I think he's a huge asset. You get him for a great price in the 40s and 50s. I know I did in a few leagues come draft day. But this is what concerns me, is the Clippers season. Not Kawhi and his injuries, but the Clippers season right now and where it's heading. It's just the bad juice is out there right now. Hey, look, Kevin Durant been on a bit of a roll. He only played the 4 games, and KP has basically been, I'm going to say right now, I think it's buy low on Kristaps. The illness and the lack of availability of him, if you do not have an IR or an IL spot, it is getting tough to deal with. I know I have him in a few leagues. I knew he would rest back-to-backs, but him being sick every other day of this illness, and there was an illness situation last year in Boston with this guy, and we don't know what it is, but he looked like a zombie corpse playing for the Celtics in the stretch in their playoff run last year. Like, it didn't look great, and I'm worried about KP with this and this illness, that it's ongoing and that it's going to derail his season, even though he's a free agent at the end of this year, and I think he needs to put together a good run and show himself playing well and playing healthy and playing through like an illness if he can. So I'm a little bit worried there, but I definitely feel that even though he's coming back in the games that he plays as a third-round player, again, we love KP. I think you might be able to get him right now at a decent price from a manager who might just be really frustrated. So I'd be sending some little inquiry trades out there for him. De'Aaron Fox, leading the way with San Antonio. Keep him on your rosters. Just keep on dealing with him because I think he even gets better. I think his points per game take a bit of a hit, but I think his overall game flows really well next to Wemby, and I think his efficiency can improve. We love that. Tyler Hero coming back 5 games. This is exactly what I called Tyler Hero for at the beginning of the season. Coming back in his 5 games so far, he is the 28th ranked player. I was getting him in the 3rd round. I even think I reached and got him at 24 at one point because I was really into what he can do this season. Immediately paying back for that faith. I put him 31.3 minutes straight away coming back off from injury. Love that from Hero. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, that time is coming to an end possibly in the next week. So if you do have him in your rosters, make sure you are sending out trades that include Noor because he is out the door in that role for that 35 minutes a game when Trae Young comes back. He has to. He's been in a perfect situation there right now, but it's coming to an end really soon. Josh Giddey has been continuing to be excellent. Again, free throw percentage here is the knock. Now, if you've got him and Evan Mobley in a lineup together, that's where you can get stung a little bit. He's never notoriously a great free throw shooter. He is 714 from the line in the last 2 weeks, but you put him with 7 attempts and go back up and get Evan Mobley here at 4 attempts. That's 11 attempts. That's sitting you around now probably about 700. And to be really competitive in free throw percentage, I always like to be 800 plus, 820 plus. That's just like a nice little magic number that I try to aim for is like 820 plus. So they're 2 guys who are really heavily on volume. To offset that, you could have had yourself maybe in your first round, you got yourself a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with his attempts at 844. That'll help for you. Maybe you got an Austin Reeves in there. That'll help you. Maybe you got a guy like Tyrese Maxey. That'll help you. Maybe you got a Luca who's on a free throw hitter right now. That'll help you. But if those other percentages from those high volume guys, especially in the case of Luca, start to show, this is where it can drag you down. So you could make a move for a player in the similar realm here, like a De'Aaron Fox, who's free throw shooting, by the way, the last 2 weeks at 9 attempts a game. Someone who hasn't always been a great FT shooter, that's really solid for him. And we absolutely love to see it. Jalen Suggs, I'm always worried here. And he's doing on the defensive end, the 2.7 steals a game. Absolutely incredible. I am selling high on Suggs. I can never trust him injury-wise. Gillespie, a streaming demon. Colin Gillespie, love to see it. Trey Murphy, he will continue to take an increased role in the near future with Zion Williamson being injured and Saddiq Bey being swept up off the waiver wires left, right, and center there for the New Orleans Pelicans. Andrew Wiggins, Mr. Outside 100, doing great things right here. Andrew Wiggins, the 34th best player in fantasy. He was going sometimes undrafted at the beginning of the season. In his last 4 games, he has put together a really nice hitter and one of the most average players you can see in the zone. His field goal percentage, average. His free throw percentage, fantastic. Average threes, 18.8. It's good. 5.8 rebounds, average. 3.8 assists, average. 1 steal, average. The blocks for him here, though, what buoy that up at 1.5, and that's not sustainable. We do also like the 1.5 turnovers because we like those guys to bring it back. Now, we've seen here Kel'el Ware. We have seen him fade the last couple of weeks and his minutes dip. This is the seesaw now that he is back on the minutes. We can definitely say that the 25 minutes a game is his absolute max. And if we did have him, we hope we sold him when Bam Adebayo was out. And you don't hope for injuries on players, but Kel'el Ware looked incredible given that increased responsibility in the absence of Bam Adebayo. Michael Porter Jr. continues to be a nice little revelation for the Brooklyn Nets. But again, how long that can continue, well, we don't know because they're the Brooklyn Nets. So we're absolutely looking to sell high here. In the 4th round, I'm seeing a lot of juice here for Desmond Bane, a guy who was an absolute buy low. And I just feel now that Bane will go around this zone, like 37 to 50. Like he'll go from like 36 to 50 in your drafts. Maybe he slid a little bit later. The guy was outside the top 200 at the beginning of the season and was an absolute buy low candidate. I screamed it. D-Mac screamed it. Kayla, all of the Fantasy 5. I heard Robin screaming it from the top of his lung that it was like a buy low option. And it was. But this is why. Because he always, you can call him bounce back Baney, because he just keeps on coming back time and time again. Alperen Şengün playing well, and it's good to see Jalen Williams back in the mix. Now, this field goal percentage for J-Dub, it is obviously going to improve over time. And if you want to improve your fantasy game, make sure you get onto Sports Wizard. That's WZRD.com. It is the ultimate fantasy sports edge. It's totally free to sign up, but if you want the real magic, like that Luca stuff that I spoke about earlier, and you want to unlock all the absolute league-winning features, use the promo code ROBBIN. That's ROBBIN for 10% off and start winning today. That's Sports WZRD. Make sure you get onto that one as well. Now, like I said here, there is a bunch of value in this zone that I think we can probably get the most little bit of a trade juice as we get up to that top 50. Alperen Şengün steaming ahead. Jalen Williams, the field goal percentage down. DeAndre Ayton. I think you get him. I really like what DeAndre Ayton does. Now, they've only played 4 games. We know he was a little bit injured, but I don't think people are like evaluating him correctly. Now, look, it's only, again, 4 games, and it's DeAndre Ayton. And I'm not saying we should be aggressive and going and targeting him, but I think you could probably pull away DeAndre Ayton easier than some of the other names, like around this marker. Like, no one's given up Alpi. No one's given up Şengün that easy. No one's probably going to give up Keegan Murray with his rest of year upside. No one's going to be giving you Jalen Brunson or Armin Thompson just like that. Like, no one's even probably going to be giving up like Franz Wagner that easy. Or no one's definitely giving up Danny Advia that easy. And that takes you up to the round. But I think people are going to be easier to give up DeAndre Ayton. And I think if you need it big, and he's getting some blocks, he's at 1.5 a game. Now, that's not league winning, but he can hit his free throws, fair enough. Now, 900 right now was massive, so let's not inflate that from a plus 800 guy. But the field goal percentage up is right there. He's getting a lot of rim love and protection. I love that. The 8 rebounds a game is down for him, but I think that can come back in time, and he has been a little bit injured and banged up of late. And he's a career double-double guy. Like, I think he's one of the only players that's been averaging over the course of his career something like, I think it's like 15 and 10 since he was in the league. Like, it's a rare list of player. I did the numbers on this like a couple of months ago before the season started. And it was like ridiculous that like someone who averages for like their career, I want to almost just deep dive it now. I'm going to deep dive it now. I'm literally like that. Here we go. That's all he's spread. Where's his career? Don't do your averages, DeAndre. Like, listen, the guy, like, historically is absolutely stupid. Now, this is his per season per game. Here we go. Points. Look at this. Look at all this from back to 2021. Double every single year of his career. Like, there's not many players that have done that. And DeAndre Ayton's one of them. And so seeing him around 40, I see him as a top 50 player on the year. I see him around that, like, look, I see him on the bubble. You can tell me he's the 45th. Awesome. You can tell me he's the 55th, 56th. Cool. He's around that bubble for me. And because he's DeAndre Ayton, I think people underevaluate him. And I think there's a good opportunity for us to be able to get in and get some trades happening to help us win our leagues. I know it sounds almost crazy, but by getting a guy like DeAndre Ayton, getting a good, solid double-double player, and I like the Lakers' schedule moving forward as well. And I think he plays. They don't have anyone else who can really hold down the center. And I think his minutes ramp up because those minutes down, those 26 minutes are down with him playing a little bit injured, playing some minutes and not being there in the last 2 weeks for one of those games. They're going to be up. His minutes on the season are up over this. So I think this is definitely a time we should probably be targeting a guy like DeAndre Ayton. Noah Clowney will probably be back on a wire, or you can bring him in when you need to. And getting back down, we said to Danny Advia there at that. The next couple of guys outside these fringy, and let's go into this round before we wrap. I want to talk about Devin Vassell. I like him. People, you can get him as well in the power forward spot. Now, let me double check that it is on, that's positions from Yahoo. It might be on Fantrax, but I know that he was opened up in some to be able to have power forward eligibility currently. Now, that was a nice little plot twist. I know that also happens with Keyshawn George, that they were tinkering around with where they were available. And I'm going to check, where is he at? Devin Vassell, shooting guard, small forward. Have a look around because some managers in some leagues have set him as a power forward and he doesn't play it. Like, his minutes aren't there for it. So have a look around, and I hope it's being course corrected because when I saw it, I was like, oh, that doesn't sit right. But I know Keyshawn George was definitely added as a power forward, and that was a nice little boost here. Getting back down to Devin Vassell, he has been absolutely phenomenal with working in that tandem with De'Aaron Fox. They've been playing really well. Even Harrison Barnes playing incredible well. Now, Devin Vassell here at 50 is a sell high because we know Victor Wembanyama is coming back, and he wasn't showing that around the time. And I think Wemby kind of stifles his game a little bit because, he's Wemby and he's allowed to. But I think just the amount of stuff that Devin Vassell can do is hampered on a basketball court. And the thing that I think he can do better is attack the rim, because he's only getting to that free throw line 1.9 times a game right now. And he's a really aggressive player. His percentages have been great, and we love it. What we really like here is the Mark Williams when he's playing in even 26 minutes a night. Again, an absolute walking double-double threat. And because of the injuries in the ins and outs, I think we can make some absolutely scintillating trades for him. And the guy who is flirting with the top 50 for the first time this year. Let's draw it to a close with a couple of the young guys here. Cooper Flagg and Reed Shepherd. Cooper Flagg currently sitting at 52nd in the last 2 weeks, according to hashtag basketball. And what you can see there is a much improved turnover rate, not doing the distribution not being in his hands. And Ryan Nembhard getting that and averaging almost a double-double. I'm pretty sure a double-double the last 2 games. Because there was one in there, he was just, I think, 7 or 8 assists in the last 3, I was going to say. So he's probably actually averaging a double-double the last 3 games if you put it all together. Him being a facilitator takes that away from Cooper Flagg, which is good for us in Fantasyland. The turnovers are down, only 2.1 a game. The field goal percentage is up. The threes aren't there. He's on not even 1 game right now. But the 21 points, the 7 rebounds, the 3.7 assists for the position I'll take, the 1.6 steals we really like, and we can see some more blocks coming away from Cooper. But what we like here is Mr. Another Average guy who's just doing some good work on the peripherals there is Reed Shepherd. He is really ingratiating himself into the Houston Rockets. I think he is a sell high here. We know Tyra Eason has been out of the lineup. There's been a lot of more for him to do here with that 30.5 minutes a game. And I think when Tyra Eason does come back, even though they're not positionally there, there's only a certain amount of minutes that can go around at the end of the day. And I absolutely think it's there. And the one thing I want to point out here, another young gun, starting to fall down a little bit from where he was, and that's Keontae George. Now, he was, again, a top 20 player to begin the year, and now he is at 56. So we see a little bit of a regression right there. And so for me, if I could move up and still trade like him away for a top piece above that on this list, I would absolutely be making that move. And other guys that I like right here to round up that top 60, Alex Sarr, I think we could definitely move it on a trade for him because he's only played 3 games. He's been a little bit injured. While he's injured, we send out trades and we're like, hey, you open to it? And if he is still around on your waiver wires, and I know that he was, his availability in leagues was very curious. Peyton Watson has been doing great work in Denver. I am definitely hitting the waiver wire and picking up Peyton Watson. He has played in all 7 of their games in the last couple of weeks for the Denver Nuggets, and he is the 61st ranked player, and he is worthy of not just a stream spot, but a spot on your rosters, especially with the injuries there in Denver. That does it for me. Apart from one name, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Again, this is always the thing with him in 9-cat leagues. People draft him in the first round because he is Giannis. And with all the trade talk around, that's a different kettle of fish entirely. But the injury today, well, he is questionable, and it was a strain. But with everything going on right now, I'm not sure he rushes back in the very next game, especially for anyone who's owned him. His managers must be just scratching their head a little bit and wondering what they can do with the Greek Freak. And if it's me, I am probably looking to sell high for another first round that when he comes back in, puts a couple of good games together, I would be really happy to move on. If you could get a Giannis for Luca trade going on, I think that would be absolutely tasty. As I am Matty G, this is Believe. We'll see you soon. You be well. Take care, everyone. And make sure you like and subscribe and do all of the things. Be well.